wasn't really a choice I had to make. A lot of people in England didn't understand my choices. They said, why wouldn't you take the treatment? Because people in England are so used to just doing what they're told. Everyone questioned me. But for me, the chemo was 12 cycles of PCV. No one in my hospital had survived past 4. So I said, how am I supposed to survive being the first? And they said, well, you're a healthy athlete. I said, yeah, but I'm not Superwoman. And so that was called a lethal treatment. And the radiotherapy they wanted to do before that was deemed completely lethal. They said, you're going to lose vision, you're going to lose the ability to speak, to have any memory, you might be in a wheelchair. And I said, that's not a life. And that's not one I'm willing to put my mum through for the rest of her life, being a carer for someone in a wheelchair who can't eat or feed herself. I said, you don't go from the Playboy mansion to being a vegetable in essence. And people were horrible to me, and they said, but you're alive. And I said, that's not living.
I'm moving house today. It's been 2 years, 8 months and 28 days, and I've got to say that as I step off the bus for what could be the last time spent as sitting in your bus, supermarket queues, etc. And I have to say though, it's only today that I'm glad to be leaving. I really will miss the Gwen Santa.
Listening to truthconduit.com with Chris McMillan.
Great. Well, okay. I'll get started from here. Are you ready?
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm with the one and only Kerri Parker. Kerri, okay. I've got all these titles on you. Correct me if I'm missing anything. I've got Miss Europe, Miss UK, Miss Empire, a black belt in karate. You were a stunt double for Megan Fox, and last April, you were on the cover of Playboy in Australia. Am I missing any other titles here? Does that cover it?
I'm also Miss United Kingdom International World as of last month, and I just had the cover of FHM Today in South Africa.
That's brilliant. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's crazy. I'm so ill, and yet all these things just keep happening, which is amazing.
I did notice when I was corresponding with you earlier on Facebook, I thought, because I was in a rush, I was getting everything done. I thought, is that a different photo? Is that FHM? And I remember reading FHM back in the day. So that's fantastic. Congratulations, because what you're doing is amazing. You're writing your own script in life. And before I get started though, I feel like I should do a little disclaimer here. So all topics discussed are not meant to be medical advice. So if you have any health issues, go see a doctor there. I feel like I should say that. Well, let's go back to 2013. You were about to go to Vegas. What happened?
Yeah, so 30th birthday, it's the big one. I'd been living in LA for 5 years. I was at the Playboy Mansion. Life was incredible. And I suddenly got sick, and we didn't know what was wrong with me. So I came back to England for some healthcare and just go to the doctor to see what was wrong. And they thought I had meningitis. So I got rushed to hospital in England about a week before my birthday party. And I said to my friends, don't worry, we're going to Vegas, it's happening. And then I spent a week in hospital having tests, and my friends flew out to Vegas without me. I was like, I'll be there. And then they took me into a room, and my mum arrived. She flew in from Spain to take care of me. And they said, you've got a brain tumor. And it was just, what the heck do we do with that? So I missed my birthday party in Vegas, and there was no survival rate. So it was just get my affairs in order, spend time with my family. I moved back home with my family, and we just prepared basically to die.
What did they say exactly? I mean, they said, okay, you've got a tumor, doesn't look good. How long did they give you, and what did they propose a treatment plan? I mean, what did they say?
Well, this was my first brain tumor, and even though in comparison to what I have now, it was tiny, it was probably this big, the size of a walnut. But when you've never experienced anything like that, it's terrifying. And they didn't sort of give me any prognosis. They wanted to operate on that one, which we did the following February. But the survival rates were still 1 out of 10 with that kind of tumor, just for 5 years. So once they operated, it was just my goal just to hit that 5-year survival rate, which we did a couple of years ago. But little did I know on my 5 years of celebrating it, that actually I was terminal with my second brain tumor, which was then in 3 lobes of my brain. So it was vast.
So they got it out, and then life went on. You went back to work. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I carried on modeling and doing my stunt work and filming and running my businesses. And I had a really amazing 5 years. We had anxiety every 6 months with the scans, but my health was incredible. I just focused on holistics and diet and how I can just be the healthiest person I can as a preventer. And I started using cannabis oil as a preventer as well, which was good because we didn't know that actually my scans had been missed. And it had been terminal for longer than I thought it was. They gave me a month to live, but because I didn't know, I'd actually lasted 6 months of that 1 month diagnosis without even knowing.
Did you think it was gone at this point when they got it out, when they cut it out? Or did they just say, look, we're going to keep an eye on this, come back in for regular checkups? What was that?
So it was every 6 months just having an MRI scan and a checkup. And so you wouldn't really worry up until the month before. So I could actually maintain quite a good quality of life, even though I did have a cancer still. It was like I didn't have cancer for those 5 years. I could still do everything a normal person could do because I worked really hard on my health.
So you felt fine.
I ran marathons. I did everything. I got my black belt, everything.
In your video blog on YouTube, which I'll be posting if anyone's interested, I put all the links, everything that's relevant to this conversation will go into the show notes. But you said a word I'd never heard before. It was called scanxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can imagine the anxiety around that every 6 months, but that was a pretty clever word. Okay. So life's going on. You're doing amazing things in these 5 years. Then there was a point where you decided that was it, no more allopathic treatment, and you decided to do it your own way. What happened there, and what led to this decision?
Well, what I didn't know is my mum had been researching for those 5 years. So whilst I was just traveling the world enjoying my life, she knew it was going to come back, and she was ready. She wanted to, the second it came back, to say, look, we're not doing anything, we're doing this. And she already had diets, holistic therapies, hospitals, doctors to speak to. She was incredible. Hello, doggy. And hello, baby. And it wasn't really a choice I had to make. A lot of people in England didn't understand my choices. They said, why wouldn't you take the treatment? Because people in England are so used to just doing what they're told. Everyone questioned me. But for me, the chemo was 12 cycles of PCV. No one in my hospital had survived past 4. So I said, how am I supposed to survive being the first? And they said, well, you're a healthy athlete. I said, yeah, but I'm not Superwoman. And so that was called a lethal treatment. And the radiotherapy they wanted to do before that was deemed completely lethal. They said, you're going to lose vision, you're going to lose the ability to speak, to have any memory, you might be in a wheelchair. And I said, that's not a life, and that's not one I'm willing to put my mum through for the rest of her life, being a carer for someone in a wheelchair who can't eat or feed herself. I said, you don't go from the Playboy mansion to being a vegetable in essence. And people were horrible to me, and they said, but you're alive. And I said, that's not living to me. And I might have offended people by saying that, but I couldn't bear not to be an athlete anymore, read a book, be able to talk. For me, that was not a life. So for me, there was no choice. It was take as long as I've got on this earth, as long as God's given me, and do what I can and have fun, enjoy my life, quality of life, or go and do it their way and probably not have a life. And it just happened that the holistic stuff saved me. We just took a chance on it.
So at this point now, you're really learning a lot about, the Rick Simpson oil? You started taking that. What else did you start doing?
So I started taking CBD oil as a preventer. And then the second we knew I had the cancer come back, we started the THC, the Rick Simpson oil. And a guy called Darren Miller, I don't know if you've heard of him, I think he's in Illinois, the Green Angels. They actually saved my life. they sent me the entire protocol, the Rick Simpson protocol, 60 grams of RSO in 90 days, which we completed. And I didn't have time to build tolerance. I was a gram a day from and I was high.
Yeah.
And then I just did everything we could. And we found a hospital in Tijuana, and my martial art club, the World Jiu-Jitsu Federation, because I still do martial arts, they raised about $7,000 for me to get to Mexico. And then I changed my diet. And then, of course, we found the Joe Tibbins protocol a few months ago, and we're like, let's just add it in.
Yeah, that actually segues to my next question. What is fenbendazole? Oh, it's a horrible word to pronounce. When did you start incorporating that into your treatment? But how did you find out about it in the first place? Sorry, those are like 3 questions there thrown at you at once.
So one of my friends, Scott, he has inoperable colon cancer, and I got him on the RSO, and he said to me, I've heard about this fenbendazole, why don't you take it? And I said, well, you know what, why not? And I had my last scan October the 22nd where I was stable, and that's after 7 years of disease progression. So finally stabilized it when I added in the fenbendazole. And because I only had about a month before my scan, I didn't just double dose. I think it's 3 days on, 4 days off. I take quadruple the daily dose for the 3 days, 7 days a week to get stable. I really massively poisoned my system with as much as I could because time was running out. So I massively overdosed and it got me stable. So we're waiting on the results for my last scan a few weeks ago, and I'm hoping it might even have improved since then.
And in the meantime, I suppose, are you keeping up the other things that you're doing, the healthy diet and the CBD, the Rick Simpson oil? You're doing all this at the same time, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not doing the Rick Simpson oil as much because I lost a ton of weight last summer. I halved my body weight down to around 30 kilograms, which was nothing. So I just got so high. Whereas now my body weight's gone up again. I've managed to get some weight on me. I'm now starting using more THC, but I am struggling with the tolerance. So the fenbendazole is mainly what I'm using with the cannabisol or the CBD at the moment, and as much THC as I can get in as well.
And so back to that question though, what is it? What if someone comes up to you on the street, Kerri, what is fenbendazole? What is it?
It's a dog worming tablet.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, really. When I came across the Joe Tippins story, I just think that this is the tip of the iceberg of a major story, really. My next, what are some of the risks and side effects of taking it? What have you noticed?
So I've got damage on my liver, and my liver enzymes are raised, and my kidneys I'm in a lot of pain with. And I'm guessing that's due to just how much of it I'm taking, but that also could be the other toxins from the RSO, the cannabis oil, and things like that. It's all technically a toxin, isn't it? And our liver and kidneys are there to get rid of that from the body, so they are working heavier than usual. So I do a lot of detoxing, things like that, a lot of detox teas, products, things like that, just to try and help. And a lot of people get an upset stomach from it. But I had an upset stomach anyway from the levels of THC I was using, so I didn't really notice any difference on that.
Okay. Yeah, very good. And, his story was, I suppose his story. The doctor said, go home to die. He had nothing to lose. And he went back 3 months later. And I don't know if it was his exact words, but the doctors basically said, you have to leave, because this place is for cancer patients only. And he had it all over him, and that's what happened to him.
Oh, I didn't realize. Wow.
Yeah. And there's an unofficial story of how it was discovered, which I'm kind of looking into. Now, this is according to Joe Tippins. I'm also going to link the interview that he did with someone else in the show notes because it's a fascinating story. The fenbendazole, it rings a bell on one of your other blogs that you were talking about it. You were having trouble getting it, even though it's just dog wormer in bulk. What you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So when I tried to buy it online and I ordered, say, 10 packets, it's like, how many dogs do you have? I was like, I have quite a few. I run a kennel. And they're like, well, these go out of date then. So you don't need all this yet. You can buy more later. And then my order never got shipped. And we've struggled to buy it in the UK in bulk. And we have to actually purchase from 2 or 3 different places to get the amounts I'm using for every single day. And we have to purchase it under different names. And people come to me on YouTube and they're like, well, what do we do? How do we lie to say we need it? I say, you just have to say it's for your dog, and you have a lot of dogs. And they make you say, oh, what's this dog's name? So I'm like making up all these dogs in my mind. I've got this dog, this dog, this dog, this dog, this dog. But you can buy like the fish Fenbendazole or the other different types of animal product ones, or you can buy the liquid. So as long as you're open to researching what's got it in and looking at different brands and different places, you can always get access to it. But my worry is that I've drawn a lot of attention to it in the press as well. I'm now going in the national media tomorrow and have been many times on Sky News and so on. That the more attention I raise to this, the more people I save is incredible. That's what I want to do. But it's going to make it more difficult for me to access what I need to keep myself alive. So it's weighing that up. And it was more important to have the truth out there and then worry about myself later.
Call me a cynic, but here's what I think may happen. What about the people who actually need a dog wormer? You know, because apparently the price has gone up. Have you noticed any price changes in it since you started taking it?
Not in the UK yet, but it has only been a few months I've been taking it. So,
well, some people are reporting price increase, and here's what I think may happen. They're going to change the ingredient. This is my prediction. I hope I'm wrong. They're going to, for actual dog wormer, they're going to use another ingredient, and to actually get the Fenbendazole, it's going to get harder and harder to get until they can get it in control and whatever prescribed or whatever. Call me cynical. But I think this is a huge story that really needs to be followed, because there's something to this. I'm including a lot of, not a lot, but a few clinical studies that I found on the subject in the show notes for this. There's a group in India that are doing studies on it, and there's a group in Israel that are doing studies on it. But I'm interested in your testimonial because you're doing it and it's working. What are you eating? What are you not eating?
Well, last year my diet, when I went to the hospital in Mexico, it was very, very raw diet, raw foods, vegan, water out of a glass bottle, like spring waters. It was nothing bad. And then I got back into my old habits. Things started to slip. I started to celebrate my stable results, drink a beer, go out to eat. And my diet isn't great. And I try and avoid sugar and I try and stay very alkaline, but I do have treats. I do have takeaways. I do drink beer sometimes. I'm not going to preach you have to be incredible, because you have to enjoy life with it. And when I lost so much weight last summer, I went from 65 to 30 kilograms and I was a skeleton. I looked disgusting. And it then became a case of you can't just eat raw vegan foods. You have to eat a McDonald's, you have to eat a hamburger, you have to eat fries, you have to eat whatever you can just to stay alive until your weight's up again. And now my weight's up again. I'm very, very healthy again. I'm starting to be more like my old athlete self, plant-based protein shakes, things like that, herbal supplements. But I do have my treats. I'm not going to avoid them.
Yeah, and you do go into great detail on your YouTube channel about what exactly you're taking, the vitamins and all of that. What is it? B12? Is that one of them? Is that a big
B17,
one? Yeah, B17. Yeah. Yeah, I miss a good curry, or a good kebab when I lived in the UK. Yeah, it is tempting, yeah, it is difficult sometimes, and yeah, you relax a bit, but you're right. What's the point? You've got to enjoy life as well. Yeah, it's interesting. Do you it's like you do big smoothies in the morning, don't you? Do you a lot of juicing, things like that?
Yeah, so I have lots of that. I have 2 plant-based protein shakes a day, which I mix the Fenbendazole in. Then I mix my U tablets in, my Chinese herbs, because I don't like taking tablets because I was very sick last summer. So I pull the tablets apart and just sprinkle them in.
Yeah. So we're talking a smoothie in the morning, and then what, a normal lunch where you actually eat some food, and then a smoothie in the evening? How do you do it?
So I'll have 2 smoothies in the day usually, maybe one after training, and then I'll have like soups and fresh soups and stuff for lunch. And then in the evening, because I'm training, I'll have like a big pasta with lots of vegetables or something.
And what are you training? What are you doing? Is this karate work? What are you
All my
working on?
martial arts, yeah. So I've got my jiu-jitsu grading this weekend. I'm still studying that, and I study karate for my second dan black belt, and my taekwondo as well. And
See, you don't look very threatening, but you're the last person I would want to meet in a dark alley, Kerri.
I've got some medals hanging up behind me. I don't know if
Oh
you can
yeah,
see.
I see them. Yeah, yeah, very good.
Yeah, they're my healthier days. That was European gold medalist 3 times,
Wow,
3 years.
that's amazing.
Can do that now.
Do you find yourself do you have more energy or less these days because of the diet that you're doing?
Very less. Last year I got my black belt when I was my sickest. Sorry, the year before. And that took some mental grit like I've never known. I was so ill. I couldn't stand the day of my black belt grade, and yet still I fought and got through it and smashed the flying colours. They come up to me after saying, "You're not the girl with cancer, are you?" I said, "Yeah." But my energy now is very weak. So I try and train 3 or 4 days a week, but I'm struggling.
Yeah.
But then my body is now even though I'm stable, it still is the most cancer I've ever had. So it is hard. It's like I'm fighting every day to stop it growing further.
Let's from your last scan to your latest, or so the last scan you had, they said it's stable. Yeah. What happened there? Could you go into a bit more detail about that?
Yeah. So every time I have a scan, they yell at me and they say, "You're dying." And they're quite cross with me for refusing the treatment. And then when I walked into this scan, everything was different. There's normally a radiographer, a chemo nurse, a junior doctor. They're all normally there in the room with me, and the chemo form is always on the desk, and the scan's always on the screen. I walked in, I was like, "This is empty. There's no chemo form, and there's no scan on the desk. Let me presume I'm stable." And she just was like, a bit angry at me. And then she shook my hand and said, "Yes, you're stable."
That's great.
And I could not believe it.
There was a story, though, where you had trouble getting the scan results, and then you found 2 doctors that were willing to put their name on it. Could you elaborate a bit on that?
So when I was stable, my scans then were not available to me. I had to get them from the hospital a few weeks later to look at them myself. And now I've had my scan 3 weeks ago. I have no appointment. I have 0 appointments. We've rung every single day for 3 weeks. They're not getting back to us. They don't like me treating myself in the UK, and I find their tactics very bullying and very upsetting, and they cause me a lot of anxiety. And I feel I'm fighting cancer, and I'm fighting our healthcare system, because they told me cannabis oil would kill me quicker, and yet here I am 2 years after they've told me that, and I'm thriving. I'm not just surviving. I went to oncology a few weeks ago and I wasn't very well. And I said, "Where's the toilet?" And he said, "You're not allowed to use the toilet. This is for patients." I was like, "Patient?" And he wouldn't believe me. And he had to check the system, because when I'm in there, they don't think I'm a cancer patient. And I struggle very, very much with getting my results and not being pigeonholed and treated badly because I've chosen my own route. And people have now started making contact with me to say everything that's happening to me, all the frustrations they see on Facebook about not being replied to, being yelled at, having their results go missing. It happened to them too. So we don't know who I am at the moment. I'm hoping to be stable still, if not having shrunk it a little from how much I've been doing, but we don't know yet.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Are you doing all this in Norwich, or do you go to London for all this?
Norwich, and we're trying to get to the Care Oncology Clinic in London, where they believe in all these repurposed drugs, and they put you on a prescription of the Fenbendazole and other repurposed drugs as well. Like aspirin is good for cancer. Metformin, I think, the diabetes drug, that helps cancer as well. And no one knows how, but this hospital seems to have put it all together and know what they're doing, and the right protocol, the amounts, when to take them, how much to use. And they give you a monthly prescription for them. So you have to get them from them. You don't have to worry about all this.
That's unbelievable.
We're there at the moment.
Is this hospital under the NHS system, or is it private? It must be private.
Private.
Yeah. I would be really shocked if it was covered by the NHS. What's the name of the hospital in London? What is this?
The Care Oncology Clinic.
Okay. I will include that into my into my links for anyone interested in checking that out. This is the first I've heard of this. Very, very interesting.
You have lots in Tijuana though, don't you? You have the Hoxie where I went, you have the Gerson, Hope on the Hill, everything like that. And the FDA actually kicked them out of America, so they had to go to Tijuana. And I'm guessing at some point, England will start cracking down on these hospitals. They will start kicking them out of the country.
Yeah, because seriously, Kerri, what's really going on? Call me a cynic, but it just seems like there's a good idea out there. They don't want, it looks, call me a cynic, but it looks like they don't want us getting our hands on a good thing. No. That's why I'm so fascinated with this Fenbendazole. Because you're not the only one. There are a lot of people out there. Now, I have reached out to Joe Tippins for an interview. I haven't heard back. If I do, great. If I don't, I still think that this is a topic that people should look into because according to him, he's keeping track. This is from an interview that he did with someone else, which I will also put in the show links. According to him and his website, people are reaching out to him and he's keeping track of the successful cases, even the unsuccessful ones. And what he said about the unsuccessful ones is his theory is, and that they have reported this to him, according to him, they started too late. They said it's working, but it's too late. So, I mean, that is promising for people who started early. It's a complicated subject, of course, and this is all just kind of out there. It's a story that's coming into form.
It doesn't work, so we go with what they tell us. And then when the doctors turn around and say, we can't help you anymore, that's when people look for stuff like this. And that is when it is too late. People need to find this early, take it alongside the chemo, take it alongside the radiotherapy if they must. But me and my friend Scott were both given a month to live. And that to most would be too late. And yet we're both thriving. So,
and I saw your friend Scott. There was an article about him in The Sun as well. Yeah, he's healing his bowel cancer. That's fantastic. Yeah. Are you kind of comparing notes with him, coordinating with this as you go along?
Nearly every day we chat. Yeah. I'm doing an interview on him for my channel on YouTube as well.
That's great.
Obviously mine's all about the brain, but his is about the colon. So it's two completely different entities as such. Two completely different cancers, because his colon cancer can spread, and it was spreading, but he's stopped it with the Fenbendazole. He's stable. Whereas my cancer cannot spread outside the brain. It's impossible because of the blood-brain barrier. But I've now stabilized it in my brain. So it's fascinating how we've both, in the same months, stabilized it together, whilst using the other stuff as well, the THC and so on, and all of the multivitamins and things. But my scans were showing progression until I added this in. And then suddenly it's stable. I don't think it's a coincidence. That's why I've been taking as much of it as I can every day.
And quite sick from it. You have demonstrated an incredibly strong, positive mindset. That's one of the keys, isn't it, Kerri?
It is, but I've tried. But the people bring you down in England. America is so much more positive, personal development. Everyone's quite uplifting of each other. But in England, I get abuse nearly every day for my choices. People say, you don't have cancer, you're lying about having cancer, you look too well. And I say, cancer doesn't make you look sick, treatment makes you look sick. People are like, your skin's too good, your hair's too good, you can't be a cancer patient. And they're very, very nasty in England. And that's where then I start to not fight anymore. My mentality goes down. I get upset, and then it's hard to get up and fight every day when you're fighting the world and the doctors and the system and the pharmaceuticals and your cancer. It gets too much. So I do have a lot of good people around me, and a lot of people like you and people in the world who do believe in what I'm doing, that bring me up every day as well. So I appreciate that. People are open to what I'm doing, and they want to hear more, and I can educate. Someone said to me yesterday on YouTube, and nearly made me cry. They said, because of you, I get to save my mother. And I thought, what if that was my mother and I could save her, and it's just beautiful.
And that's what it's all about, getting this message out there. And I agree, it's a conundrum because the sales of this stuff it's increasing. And
Korea was sold out.
Yeah. I went to Walmart and it says sold out. And there was someone had left in the comments, and I was looking for it again, and I couldn't find it, suspiciously enough. But I saw it a few weeks ago. Someone had said in the comments, they said, this product cost, I can't remember what they said. It was a lot less, but last February, 2019, it went up a lot. And they said, I think this is because of this guy, the things that he's saying in Oklahoma, and people are buying it. And they went on, then they had a big, corporate greed, disgusting kind of spiel about it. They made the assumption that that's the reason, which it may very well be. But it was interesting. You're starting to see it. People are starting to become aware of it. I mean, it was on one of the, I can't remember if it was Amazon or the Walmart website, but it's coming up, and it's something to keep an eye on for sure. This fenbendazole, and it's not in every dog wormer medicine. I've gone into pet shops just out of curiosity, and they do sell other dog wormers without fenbendazole, but others there are. And you said it doesn't have to be dog wormer. It can be other animals as long as it's fenbendazole, right?
Yeah, so, and I think there's also menbendazole. I think I wrote it down somewhere. There was another one. I think it was menbendazole. But there were other names for that drugs. And apparently the fish one has less fillers in it. So it's more pure product. So you've got that option as well. Or you've got it for horses. You can get it in big packets for horses. I think you can even buy the pure isolate from China and Japan. So it is accessible still.
Why would anyone give fish a dewormer? I don't know. Okay, I don't know anything about fish, but yeah, I don't know.
I presume they also get worms.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I suppose parasites. Yeah, I suppose they do. Yeah, something I've
Probably
never really thought
parasites.
about. Yeah. Okay, what are you doing now? What's happening? You've got a fundraiser. You're because obviously the NHS is not going to help you. So you've got a fundraiser going on for your next treatment. What's take me to the present and the near future, the far term future. What's going on with you, Kerri?
So the idea is just to raise as much as we can to get to this hospital in London within the next month. I need to get there as soon as possible now, because it's always like time is running out, but I'm healthy, but I can see myself deteriorating. So we just don't know. No one knows. It could be as simple as I picked up a cold. That could be why I'm ill. You assume it's the cancer, and it might not be. But we're going to try and get to that hospital in London. I'm going to try and up my THC. And I'm going to be following the Joe Tibbins protocol, not to the extent I have been, because that could be linked to why I'm getting sick, because I'm taking so much of it. And also I don't want to use all my stock up. So I'm going to go down to the 3 or 4 days a week with like a bit. I think I've done 4 days this week, and then I'll take a break after tomorrow. So it's 5 days this week. And it's just however I feel on the day. Do I want to fight this a little bit more? Do I want to up this? I've just introduced my U tablets again, the Pacific U. I've just done a video on that as well. Because what the U tablet does, it's a lethal tree that you get in America. And the bark stops cells multiplying. It halts tumor growth. So I've upped that, I've started that, and I was actually massively overdosing that last year as well by accident, because my maths just was incorrect. At one point I forgot how to add up for my brain tumor. So we're doing all of that.
Are the U tablets difficult to get?
Not in America, I don't believe. Here I had to fly to Mexico and Tijuana to get them. But you can source them in America.
That's unbelievable. You can't get them in the UK.
No, so a lot of my costs have been me and Mum flying into San Diego, which is too expensive. So we fly into LA, and then we get a train down to San Diego, then we get a taxi across the border in Tijuana, and then we get a hospital there, and just to access it. And people say, well, I can't get this in my country, but you do whatever it takes. Me and Mum flew all the way to Tijuana just for some tablets. It's just whatever you have to do, or you find people to send them to you, like the Green Angels would send me RSO and things like that, and in Europe, and I'd get that from them. Or it's having a friend in a different country saying, can you send me this? But even the people are so good. People comment on my YouTube saying, if you can't get fenbendazole, let us know, they'll send this to them. And the cancer community has really been helping each other, so there's always a way. And
that leads to my question. Are you in touch with a lot of other people that are also using this to help themselves?
I think on my YouTube channel, all the comments seem to be coming from people who are using it, or they're finding me, and they're educating me as well. They're giving me ideas and reaching out on things to help me. And then I have my page, which reaches out on then how to help other people. And you've got experts commenting on there as well, helping me, helping others. It's like a group effort all around. People have saved my life. I'm now trying to save others. And then other people just join in for a bit of help where they can, which is lovely. And I've saved a few lives that I know of, and I'm in touch with them.
Yeah, I may have a few more links as well for you that you may not have seen before that I'll put on the interview, the page notes. So let's do a plug-in here. Where can people go to your fundraiser? Where can they go if they want to help?
So the fundraiser is on my Facebook, which is facebook.com/ just loading it. Facebook.com/ internet here is very slow. Kerri Parker Academy.
Kerri Parker Academy.
And then my YouTube for people who want more information. It is. Just let me check. I mean,
I'll definitely put the link in, but in case anyone's actually listening and not looking at the website or anything,
I think it's just
audio.
YouTube/Kerri Parker. Yep, yeah. It is. Yep, perfect.
And Kerri spelt Kerri.
Yeah.
That's a very good. So that's great, Kerri. I was going to comment as well. When you said you were you look asymptomatic, that was the story with Joe Tippins. He didn't feel anything wrong with him, and he went in to check. He had a nasal congestion or something, and that's when he found out he had it all over his body. He said when he did his scan, he lit up like a Christmas tree. That's what he said. And even when he was doing the treatment, he felt fine. Even when they sent him home to die, he said he didn't feel sick. So yeah.
They said I had a month to live. So I said, okay. I took my mum to Miami on holiday. I took her to Mexico. I went shark diving. I went cave diving. I did my bucket list of everything in that month. And we got home and my mum said, how do you feel? I was like, I feel good. And it was that month I was terminal. I was the fittest, healthiest, best I've ever looked. And that didn't leave me.
I've got one more philosophical question before we wrap up. Do you own your own body?
Yes, it's the choices that you make. And before I got cancer, before I knew I had cancer even, I worked as a dietitian and a personal trainer. And I believe that your health is due to what you eat. And yes, my diet could be better. I've had too many McDonald's and things I shouldn't, but I don't want to live as a cancer patient. I want to live as a healthy, normal person that has cancer and cannot avoid it. And I think my holistic choices, the amount of CBD I have 5 liters of water a day, things like that keep me looking like this. So people shouldn't judge, because some days I look like this still, but I can't get out of the car. I can't walk upstairs. So looks can be very deceiving, but ultimately it is about diet.
Any final thoughts, Kerri, before we wrap up?
No, just fingers crossed for my next scan, and hopefully I can show you guys some shrinkage. And
I haven't asked, when do you hope to get a scan again?
Well, I got scanned 3 weeks ago, but as usual, my results go walkies, or I'm not allowed them, or they ignore me. And because I'm not playing the chemo game, I struggle to even get my results. It can be hard.
We'll definitely be keeping an eye on your YouTube channel, because you're doing a great job of keeping people in the loop, and we're watching very closely at your progress, because I think this is an incredible light at the end of a tunnel, and there's a lot to this story. So it's I think what we're doing here, this conversation, is just the tip of the iceberg of what's going to happen in the future. I don't know. We'll see. Very good, Kerri. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you. You're more than welcome.
Walking down the street, the children play. For them, it's just another day. The future's reflected in their parents' faces, who chose to stay on in this place where they were born, went to school, got married, and kids. Like their grandparents before them did. Got to escape, before it's too listening to truthconduit.com with Chris McMillan. Go to the subscribe page and sign up to get notifications of the latest posts. And check out the support page to help keep it going.
Yeah, I've got a friend in Jesus Christ. I've got a friend in Jesus Christ, and Krishna and Buddha and my bartender.